Story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is a story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello there and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Frank Omalape. In our major story, the Nigerian Medical Association has ordered all its members across the federation back to work. This itself will enable doctors to respond appropriately to the health challenges posed by the importation of the deadly Ebola virus disease to the country. Also in this program, Boko Haram declares an Islamic caliphate in Goza, Borno State. A town is seized from Nigeria 2 weeks ago after a prolonged exchange of gunfire with the Nigerian army. The Osun State Chapter of the All Progressive Congress has declared it will drag security agencies involved in the recently concluded governorship election to court over illegal detention of its chieftains during the election. Now, Nigerian Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vows to continue the pounding of Gaza as long as Hamas keeps firing rockets into Israel. Thank you for joining us, and here is the details of the headline stories. Nigeria's striking doctors have agreed to suspend their industrial action and return to their duty posts from Monday morning. The Nigeria Medical Association arrived at this resolution at an emergency delegate meeting in Abuja. Breaking newsmen at the end of the meeting, NMA President Kayode Obembe says the strike was suspended after considering the current health challenges posed by the Ebola virus.
Suspend the strike action in the interest of urgent national emergencies while negotiations continue. Consequently, all medical and dental doctors are hereby directed to resume duty at their working posts with effect from 08:00 hours of Monday, 25th August 2014. 2 months of salary arrears or relativity have been paid, and this is a beginning of redress of injustice which we have been encountering for the past 22 years. As we know before, the arrears will be calculated for 22 years, but we just said calculate for 6 months, which shows how magnanimous and patriotic doctors are. We have also been able to extract from the government there is need to review the hazard allowance. In the phases of Ebola, hazard allowance was still 5,000 naira per month for a doctor. Government has realized that this was indeed injustice. So we have achieved something, and these are the reasons why we now felt with the outbreak of Ebola and all the cries of the people, I think we should just subject all the others. You know, we had a 24-point demand. All others we are continuing on negotiation table while we face the attack of Ebola and other incidental diseases that are ravaging the country.
Boko Haram's leader Abubakar Shekau says he has created an Islamic caliphate in the northeast Nigeria town Goza, Borno State, seized by the insurgent earlier this month. In a video posted online by the terror group, Shekau says, "Thanks be to Allah who gave victory to our brethren in town of Goza and made it part of the Islamic caliphate." Abubakar Shekau declared in the 52-minute video that Goza and Borno State now has nothing to do with Nigeria. He stressed that by the grace of Allah, Boko Haram will not leave the town. "We have come to stay," says Shekau. who has been designated a global terrorist by the United States and sanctioned by the UN Security Council. United Nations Humanitarian Office earlier this month confirmed reports that Goza was under rebel control. Boko Haram is also believed to be in control of other areas near Goza in southern Borno, as well as large swathes of territory in northern Borno and at least one town in neighboring Yobe State. Nigeria's military authorities have dismissed claims by Boko Haram leader Abubakar of an Islamic caliphate around Goza in Borno State. The Boko Haram leader has said in a video obtained by the AFP on Sunday that an Islamic caliphate is in place in the northeast Nigeria town seized by the insurgents earlier this month. The defense headquarters said in a tweet via its Twitter handle a few minutes later that Shekau's claim is empty. It insists that Nigerian troops will not allow any groups of terrorists to lay claim to any portion of the country. The military added that appropriate operations are ongoing to secure the area from insurgents. There is, however, no independent confirmation of the claim and counterclaims from both sides on the status of Goza and surrounding areas. As the battle against insurgents in the northeastern part of Nigeria rages on, the issues generated by the war continues to grow. A security expert, Richard Amoa, has called on all Nigerians to come together for the fight, which he says can only be won by a collective effort. Amoa, while speaking after appearing as a guest on our Call Digest program, explained that the federal government must encourage all Nigerians to join the fight against Boko Haram, just as it has done in the fight against Ebola virus.
No, whether there's equipment or we don't have enough equipment or we don't have good equipment as the one the Boko Harams are using, that doesn't mean that they must desert. No, what the code says is clear. If you desert, you be court-martial. So the chief of army staff or chief of defense staff that said it is right. So what I'm going to just ask the government to do is to make sure that these people are happy and they have good equipment.
On the issue of alleged mutiny and the threat of death sentence from countenanced by the military authorities, Amoa says soldiers are not allowed to desert or rebel against authorities.
All I'm saying
for
is
any
that in
reason.
security, let's take politics out of it. There's no ruling party, there's no opposition party when it comes to security. When 9/11 happened in America, what happened? The Republican and the Democrat, they came together and they worked, and what did happen? So the point I'm making here is that for us to get insurgency out of this country, all hands must be on deck. I repeat myself again, there must be politics out of it.
The All Progressive Congress has raised the alarm over an alleged plot to relaunch a acronym war against it. The party says in a statement by its National Publicity Secretary, Lai Mohammed, that those behind the plot are unscrupulous and apparently higher hands. Mohammed explained that those plotting against the party were seeking to register 3 new parties that bear the acronyms of the same parties that merged to become the APC. The party has faced similar threats when other organizations have struggled for the APC acronym with it after emerging from the merger of opposition parties. The statement reads, those behind the phantom parties who are apparently working at the behest of the people who have a mortal fear of the APC have applied to the Independent National Electoral Commission to register the Allied Council of Nigeria, Advanced National Patriotic Party, and Conservative People's Congress. The fact that the acronyms of the 3 entities tally with those of the APC component party, ACN, ANPP, and CPC is not accidental, but a grand design by those who have been having sleepless nights since the APC was registered. The regent of Iloko-Ijesha, Shola Ogunsoya, and 14 others leaders of the All Progressive Congress who were allegedly arrested and detained by a combined team of policemen, soldiers, and operatives of the Department of State Service are set to drag the security agencies to court. This is contained in the statement made available to journalists by the Director of Publicity, Research and Strategy by the APC in Osun State, Kunle Oyatumi. The applicants, apart from the regent, are Isaac Onajide, Babatola Shegun, Ogungbagbe Sulaiman Obayomi Ayo, Uwukpetu Dunayo, Esther Olami Julo, and 8 others. The 15 persons who were allegedly arrested by security agents on the eve of the governorship election in Osun State claimed that the alleged illegal arrest was against the order of an Osogbo High Court, which restrained the respondent from engaging in arbitrary arrests of members of the APC. He said despite the court order, the security agents went ahead and arrested, harassed, and humiliated him and others for no just reason. The 15 arrested persons in an application for a court order to enforce their fundamental rights slated to be filed before the Federal High Court sitting in Osogbo pray for an order directing the respondent to pay 1 billion naira to each of them as damages. A former governor of Adamawa State, Murtala Nyako, has alleged that reports from the judicial panel of inquiry set up to probe his administration have been falsified and exaggerated by government propagandists. He debunked some of the reports in a statement by his spokesman, Ahmad Sajo. Nyako, who was impeached by the State House of Assembly on July 15, has yet to appear before the panel, which started sitting about a fortnight ago. But he denied reports of the proceedings of the panel relating to money he was reported to have paid to the account of his aide-de-camp. He also denied reports on contributions to running costs of the state-owned media houses and the ones relating to consultancy for local government housing scheme. The statement read in part, "We have observed with great concern attempts by government propagandists to exaggerate and even falsify reports from the Judicial Panel of Inquiry and to create the wrong impression that whatever policy enunciated by the Nyako regime at whatever date had existed throughout the 7 years he ruled this state." You're watching CoreTV Primetime News. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with more stories after this time. Stay with us.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
From the capital markets, we bring information on stock market reports, talk about GDP and economic growth, showcase entrepreneurs and startups, bring on financial experts to analyze and share the views on financial issues affecting the economy. On Business Weekly, we bring business to you.
Glad to have you back on CoreTV News. Well, let's take a look at some other story right now. Lagos State Commissioner for Justice and Attorney General Adekpaye has disclosed that the state did not ban motorcycle operators, popularly known as Okada, but placed a restriction on their movement and operations. Adekpaye, in an exclusive interview with CoreTV News, says the restriction on the operations and movement of the Okada riders on some major highways was to serve as a life-saving measure owing to the high incidence of death and injuries sustained by both cyclists and their passengers. He said the state government has also encouraged the use of protective gears by both cyclists and passengers as part of effort aimed at stemming the tide of accident by Okada riders. He, however, insisted that there was never a ban on Okada riding in Lagos.
There was never a ban, and that is what we should get clear. There was a restriction of the operation of Okadas on certain routes, which, by the way, are just about 5% of the total number of roads in Lagos. We are talking about mere 475 roads out of over 9,000. So really, it is a restriction or a restricted prohibition on certain roads.
Ekiti State Governor-elect Ayodele Fayose has promised to continue with the project embarked upon in Ado-Ekiti by the administration of Governor Kande Fayemi. Fayose, who spoke during this year's annual celebration of Idiroko Festival At the Palace of the Area of Ado-Ekiti, Oba Rufus Adejugbe has also commenced distribution of 10,000 helmets to commercial motorcyclists or Okada riders to protect them against possible health injury. He told the bike riders that he would not want to drive them out of the roads as alternative had not been put in place by the Firemen's administration. Fayose will promise to complete the multi-million naira ongoing Palace Pavilion as one of the projects to mark his 1 year in office. Commended Oba Adejugbe for his leadership role and love for his people, while thanking the people of Ado-Ekiti for voting for him in the June 21 governorship election. He appealed to them to support the People's Democratic Party and its candidate in the 2015 general elections. Still in Ekiti, different cultures and traditions in Nigeria have a way of counting days of the year which is different from the conventional days, a month counting for Ekiti indigents. The Idiroko, which falls on August 23, signifies the beginning of a new year. The celebration is done yearly amid pomp and pageantry. Rashid has more in this story.
This year's Udiroko brought all sons and daughters of Ado-Ekiti from far and near together. They were all unanimous in their call for the festival to be recognized as an international celebration fully recognized by UNESCO. Ado-Ekiti, an Asian town with close historical tie with the Asian Benin City, have so many festivals, but the Udiroko is the biggest, which Ado indigenes hold so dear to their hearts. Given historical background of the Udiroko festival, the Bafo of Ado-Ekiti, known to be the head of high chiefs and warriors, speaks on the significance of the festival.
It's the first day of Ado-Ekiti, calendar day. So everybody women will turn around with their best attire. The same thing, both men and women. That's the only day that a week you can see a week once a year. A week in those days doesn't go out. It doesn't go out. But when Idiroko comes, so you have so many people coming to see him.
Ado-Ekiti, the capital city of Ekiti State, plays host to dignitaries in an August occasion like this, thus making the festival not devoid of political shows, especially from the governor-elect Fayose and frontline Ado indigenes in politics, who stated their desired improvement for the festival.
I want to believe God. First, I wouldn't want to say anything much, but I will say this gathering, by the grace of God, will be commissioned formally in my first year anniversary.
Right now, we have a governor-elect already from the PDP, and we are sure and we are confident that we will win all other seats like the Senate, the Rep, the House of Rep, and the local government chairman.
The yearly Udiroko festival, which serves as a rallying point for all sons and daughters of Ado-Ekiti due to its peculiarity, spawns frantic calls for the recognition of the festival as a cultural heritage due for international recognition by scholars across the globe.
We need to give this festival the international recognition it deserves. It can serve a lot of as a source of revenue generation for the state and even for the government. The federal government should uplift this festival so that it can be recognized by bodies like the UNESCO, at the international level, because it's a cultural festival that actually strikes at our history.
The yearly Udiroko celebrations is the beginning of a new year for the people of Ado-Ekiti, and they love to celebrate this day, which symbolically marks the beginning of good things to look forward to in the year.
Culture will always be the focal point of African tradition. And as you can see, the Udiroko Festival 2014 has been the high point of keeping cultural heritage. And this has been one of the basic economic value for our country, Nigeria, if well utilized. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado-Ekiti.
the cultural day for the people of Ekiti there. You're watching CoreTV Prime Time News. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with business stories after this time out. Join us again.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Nigerians continue to tonight, the city of Lagos once again has all roots.
Be the first to know from the north, south, east, west, and around Africa. We break the news.
One Nigeria.
Now you can catch all the actions live as the news breaks. We are CoreTV News.
Welcome to CoreTV,
a 24-hour news station.
This is Judiciary Today.
The judiciary's function is to interpret the law.
The judge in Lagos State is perhaps one of the most comfortable judges in the world.
You don't say because we are fighting terrorists or fighting terror, then you go about violating people's rights. We're not going to allow that in this country.
I think that's one of the reasons why some
that's what lawyers do.
I didn't say that what lawyers do.
The TV show that brings you in-depth review and analysis of judiciary issues that affect you.
Police officers to welcome victims with empathy and not say, what were you wearing? Where did you go? What were you doing at 10 p.m. at night?
As the Nigerian judiciary mourns one of their own.
He has gone to court on behalf of Nigerian citizens even without taking a cover.
It is time for lawyers to take their health very seriously, lawyers and judges.
Only on CoreTV.
Glad to have you back. In business, the Nigerian Stock Exchange says it will impose 5% on companies and issuers that default in the payment of dividend to shareholders within a given period. The move was to protect investors with the aim of increasing their participation in the exchange. It also says companies that do not meet the listing standard will be delisted. Already, the NSE has served a delisting notice on 21 companies for failing to file quarterly and annual financial statements as required under the listing rules. However, the Section 14.8 sends a reminder to the directors of the issuer that the directives of the shareholders in general meetings must be obeyed. The Central Bank of Nigeria says it's directed to deposit money banks to reintroduce a charge of 65 naira per transaction on remote and also automated teller machine. Cash withdrawals will not be affected, and it said it will not affect financial inclusion campaign. Remote and NOS ATM transactions are transactions done by a card holder on another bank's ATM. Customers often go to other banks' ATMs and withdraw up to 3 times, and there will be no charges. This development of the bank led to a huge cost burden for the banks that issued the cards. The central bank had explained that it took the latest decision as a result of the unintended consequences on the banks. It said 100 naira was removed then so that people will be encouraged to go to other banks' ATMs, but this has been abused. The central bank decided that even though remote and NOS transaction could still be encouraged, the customer will be charged 65 naira when he makes the 4th withdrawal. The policy takes effect from September 1, 2014. We'll take another break. We'll be back shortly with more stories. Stay with us.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then news. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
If you're just joining us, this is CoreTV Primetime News. Now in sports. Cameroonian Albert Ebosi had died after being hit by an object thrown by spectators following a game in Algeria. Ebosi, who was 24, was declared dead after being taken to hospital in Tiz Ouzo, east of the capital, Algiers. GS Kabylie striker, who had scored in a 2-1 home defeat by USM Alger, was hit when fans started throwing objects from the stands at the team's return to their changing rooms after the game. The Algerian Interior Ministry has ordered the investigation. Ebosi was the leading scorer in the Algerian League in the 2013-2014 season with 17 goals. It has not been confirmed what hit Ebosi, but one Algerian paper said that home fans, angry at their team's defeat, were throwing rocks. A statement from Ebosi's club said he had succumbed to a head injury after being struck at the end of the match. Opponents USM Alger described the news of Ebosi's death as a bombshell and said it was terrible and saddening. Angel Di Maria has already bid goodbye to his Real Madrid teammates ahead of his expected transfer to Manchester United, Carlo Ancelotti has revealed. The Argentina international is expected to hold talks with United next week over a transfer that is thought to be worth a British record of €56 million. Ancelotti confirmed the winger had come to the club's training base to bid farewell to his teammates and the club staff before he heads to Manchester to complete the move next week. Di Maria has not trained with us today, and he came in to say goodbye to the players and people at the club, Ancelotti told news conference in Madrid. We are thankful for what he has done at this club. There is nothing official yet, but it is being sorted out, according to Ancelotti. Despite winning man of the match in Real's Champions League final triumph over City rivals Atletico last season, Di Maria was deemed expendable by club president Florentino Perez following the arrival of World Cup top scorer James Rodriguez from Monaco. That put Di Maria's place in the Ancelotti starting 11 in jeopardy, and when contracted talks between the player and club stalled, with Di Maria feeling club officials were failing to recognize his value and contribution to the team, and decision was made to sell. The Real Madrid manager maintains the decision to leave was made by the player and hinted the Spanish giant will be looking for a replacement before the window closes. The decision in his hand, and club has done what it could to keep him here, but they thought differently, and so good luck to him. That's the word of Ancelotti. Now, away from that now, French legend Zinedine Zidane's first match as coach of Real Madrid's reserve side Castilla ended in defeat as they were beaten 2-1 by Atletico Madrid on Sunday. The former World Player of the Year, who worked as Carlo Ancelotti's assistant as Madrid, won the Champions League for the 10th time in their history, and Copa del Rey last season, is following in the footsteps of Pep Guardiola by beginning his career in management in the Spanish third tier. The Frenchman had, after the end of last season, told the management of Real Madrid of his desire to go it alone and start as a head coach on his own, deciding on the Real Castilla job after several speculations linking him to position as head coach of teams in France over the summer. The Frenchman looks set for a fine start as Raúl de Tomás gave his Castilla side a half-time lead. However, 2 goals in 8 second-half minutes from Daniel Acuña and Sekou Keita gave Atletico their second victory over Real in 3 days after the senior side beat Real to win the Spanish Super Cup on Friday. The supporters of Real Madrid and players of the team are hopeful that the French legend will lead them to great things, and if he's successful as a coach, as he was as a player, then Madrid will see him become not just a legend on the field of play, but also in the dugout. You're watching CoreTV Primetime News. We take another break. We'll bring you stories outside Nigeria just after this time out. Stay with us.
Nigerians continue to
Tonight, the city of Lagos went agog as all routes.
Be the first to know.
CoreTV News.
From the north, south, east, west, and around Africa, we break the news.
One Nigeria.
Now you can catch all the actions live as the news breaks. We are CoreTV News.
Welcome to CoreTV,
a 24-hour news station.
Glad to have you back on CoreTV Primetime News now. Aside Nigeria, Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says that his Gaza offensive will continue as long as necessary, a day after an Egyptian call for a ceasefire and new truce talks. Operation Protective Edge will continue until its aim are achieved. It might take time. According to him, said of the Gaza trip operation launched on July 8, remarks broadcast by public radio. Israeli airstrike killed 8 Palestinians in the enclave Sunday as militants kept up rocket fire. A military spokeswoman explained that Israel carried out 27 strikes and 50 rockets were fired from Gaza, 47 of which hit the Jewish state. The Israeli ambulance service says that 30 people were injured by Palestinian fire at the area's crossing point between Israel and Gaza, at least one of them in serious condition. According to the police sources, they were all Arab public transport drivers waiting in the crossing car park. 2 of them are Bedouin from the southern Israeli town of Rahat and 1 a Palestinian from Israeli-occupied East Jerusalem. The fight follows Saturday's day of bloodshed in which 60 strikes pounded Gaza, killing 10 Palestinians, mostly women and children, and bringing down a 12-story apartment block. There was still no sign of either side adopting the ceasefire. Egypt appealed for on Saturday to allow negotiators to return to Cairo to thrash out the details of a durable truce. Since the previous round of frantic Egyptian diplomacy collapsed on Tuesday, shattering 9 days of calm, a 8 Palestinian and 4-year-old Israeli boy have been killed in the violence. At least a special cabinet section at the Defense Ministry in Tel Aviv, Netanyahu repeated his warning of harsh retribution for the death of the Israeli child on Friday in a rocket strike on a kibbutz near the Gaza border. Iran's Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif says Tehran is working to help combat jihadist-led militants but does not have soldiers in Iraq amid a renewed push for a key oil refinery. The United States warplanes have launched more than 90 airstrikes against Islamic State. Jihadists in Iraq since August 8 has said operations against the group in Syria may also be necessary. Washington has also ramped up its rhetoric over the beheading in Syria of abducted American journalist James Foley, calling it a terrorist attack against the U.S. Iraq is struggling to regain ground lost to a major ISIS-led militant offensive which began in June and quickly overran large areas of 5 provinces, sweeping security forces aside. We are cooperating and working with the Iraqi government and with the Kurdish government in order to repel this very serious, atrocious group, Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif says. As Zarif visited Baghdad, security forces backed by air support battled a renewed militant push towards the Baiji refinery, which once accounted for some 50% of Iraq's supplies of refined petroleum product and has been targeted in the past. Californian earthquake, a strong 6.0 magnitude earthquake just to Northern California nearly Sunday morning, knocking out power and causing some damage to roads in Napa and Sonoma counties. There were no immediate report of death, injuries, or major damage from the quake, which struck at 3.2 around that time, local time, rousing people from sleep as far away as San Francisco. The epicenter was near American Canyon, 40 miles, almost 64 kilometers northeast of San Francisco, the U.S. Geological Service said. There was a low likelihood for casualty, it said, but issued an orange alert for possible damage, a rating which means significant damage is likely and the disaster is potentially widespread. Well, that's been the show tonight on CoreTV Primetime News. Many thanks for watching. I am Frank Omalape. On behalf of the entire news production crew, wishing you a good night rest. Good night.